I'm going to switch to my other book, The Goodbye Door, which is about the first woman, female serial killer to go to the electric chair. It all happened here in Columbus. She was a serial killer out of Cincinnati, and that's where she was tried, but her execution was here at the Ohio Penitentiary. I'm glad to say the book has won several awards, and maybe the gold medal killer will follow. I don't know. Again, how do you start a book? What's going to make it interesting? Sure, I could say she came by boat on such and such a date and got off the boat and went to Cincinnati and started a new life in Cincinnati. She was a German immigrant. But this is how I started the first two paragraphs. Chapter 1, Little Secrets. Anna Marie Felsler, that was her maiden name. Anna Marie Felsler arrived in New York on February 11, 1929, with a little baggage and little secrets. On the deck of the SS München, she pulled her cloth coat closely around her, leaned on the shoulder-high port railing, and took a deep breath of the frigid air. As the liner churned slowly through the dark waters of the harbor, a cold wind whipped her short blonde hair and her Bavarian patterned scarf. Beyond, in the early dawn, Anna Marie could just make out the Statue of Liberty, its torch burning brightly. Soon, New York City's skyline came into view too. Here in America, still reveling in the roaring 20s, would be a new beginning for her. Where do all those facts come from? Well, I kind of had to dig them out. The only fact I knew is when she arrived in this country. So I went to the New York Times shipping news reporting for that date and saw what ships came from Germany, and there was only one, and it was the München. So I knew that. I knew what period it came in. I looked at the weather report for the day in the New York Times, so I knew it was cold. And the Statue of Liberty was a problem because during World War I, the Statue of Liberty light in what do I say? Was turned out, so it wouldn't be a beacon for saboteurs. So I called the Park Service and said, "Can you tell me if the light was on this date?" And sure enough, it had been turned on. So I knew the light was there for guiding her into the harbor. So from just one fact, the fact that she arrived on such and such a date, I was able to recreate what actually happened and how she arrived here. The final, not the final chapter, but the penultimate chapter in The Goodbye Door deals with her execution. It was the hardest chapter in the book to write because such a sensitive issue, the first woman in Ohio to go to the electric chair. I wanted to get it just right, and I wrote much of the chapter, but I didn't write the beginning. I couldn't get the right sense to it. It was a real struggle until I came across a little one paragraph, one sentence really, item in one of the newspapers that said one of the witnesses to the execution spent the day before going to the penitentiaries in the movies at the Palace Theater. That turned out to be my clue, and I was able to piece this introduction to this very difficult, I wanted it a soft but meaningful introduction or start to this particular chapter. Chapter 19, It's Time. Dr. Fred C. Swing buttoned up his heavy wool overcoat as he left the Palace Theater downtown. He had just seen angels with dirty faces. a 1938 gangster film starring James Cagney, Pat O'Brien, and Humphrey Bogart. Billed as a taut, tidy melodrama, the movie ends with Rocky, Cagney's tough guy character, going to the electric chair. "Oh, please, I don't want to die," Rocky pleads. "Oh, please, don't let me burn." Now Swing, a former Hamilton County coroner, walked briskly along the dark streets to the Ohio Penitentiary to witness a woman burn. Looked in the newspaper, found out what was playing at the Palace Theater, and I couldn't believe it was this movie. But Angels with Dirty Faces, that's what was there. So I got online and I was able to find partial transcript of the movie, and the particular part at the end where he says, "I don't want to die. Oh, please, I don't want to die. Don't let me burn." I was able to put that into the right context, I thought. I love that particular paragraph because I worked so hard just to get it right. I was going to read more from her execution, which is very detailed, and one of the reasons it was detailed was for the first time in Ohio penitentiary history, 2 reporters were allowed to accompany her and the guards to the death chamber. It had never been done before, and of course their reporting was firsthand as to what she said. And one of the things that transpired as she walked towards the death chamber was she passed the 11 men on death row who had yet to face the electric chair. And as she passed by, they all spoke to her, "Goodbye, goodbye." And when she reached the end of the corridor, she went through what was known as the goodbye door, hence the title of the book. But it was a really touching scene, and the fact that all these men had never seen her. She was in a separate cell down the end of the corridor. They knew she was there, but they never saw her at all. And yet when she passed by, they saw her for the first time and they said, "Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye." As I said, the actual execution was pretty brutal. She fought her way. She fought all the way, and they had to restrain her to get her into the chair. Unlike Snook was an easy one to execute, if you will, because he was stoic, walked right in, sat right down, never said a word, no last words. It went very quickly. But Anna Marie Hahn fought it all the way. And actually the prison guards thought that Anna Marie Hahn would be stoic. She was stoic for the entire time, a model prisoner, if you will, her entire time on death row. But when it came time, she put up a tremendous fight. I see we're at the point where I can stop and take some questions, and I'm happy to read more, but let's, for the moment, open up to questions.